In February of 2025, I played over 100 demos during Steam's Next Fest, a 1 week-long event that takes place every 4 months on Steam, during which developers can make demos for their upcoming games available to play to the public. For the past year, I've made it my mission to go through as much of the catalog as I possibly can to find a large variety of games for me to play during that week. I do all of this live on my Twitch channel, where every game gets about 30 minutes to show me what it's all about, and at the end of the event, I put together a list of my top 10 games from that week. And in this video, I will be telling you all about those games, as well as some honorable mentions. So without further ado, let's get started. In 10th place, we have Calibra and the Souls of Limbo. The world of Limbo, a place where the troubled souls wander in search of peace. And in the center of it all, at least when it comes to the story of this game, is the titular character, Calibra. Recently deceased, Calibra now finds himself in this world of the dead, trying to figure out what has brought him here while meeting new people, like an old lady in need of a hand, who's definitely not suspicious at all, and a little bird fellow named Crow who works for the local postal service called the Wing Union and hands us a handy pocket watch, courtesy of that kind lady we met earlier, so we can tell the time. We are then tasked with reaching Plaza, the city visible in the distance from this lookout area we find ourselves at currently. So without wasting any more time, we start moving. Along the way, we pass a few curious points of interest. A stone gate with an as of now puzzling description, a quaint flower shop run by a mother and daughter duo, as well as a locked gate guarded by a boulder, and the boulder has a face. We spend our day moving between these locations, learning more about the environment we find ourselves in and the people we can interact with, in hopes of figuring out how to move forward and make it to Plaza. At the end of each day, we take a quick little nap and find ourselves back where we started? We once again meet Crow, but upon realizing that we already know each other, they fill us in on how all of this really works. It turns out that souls living in Limbo are actually stuck in a time loop. Once the day has passed, everything gets reset and people forget everything from the day they had just lived to repeat the same day over and over and over and over and over. Except Calibra is somehow not affected by this memory wipe, so using the knowledge we've gathered and the items we collect, it is now our job to break the other souls out of this time loop. To break someone out requires powerful emotions or actions to leave a mark on their soul. That way they won't forget. Sounds simple, but there's actually a lot of steps to this, so we better get moving. There's a lot of work to do. Calibra, the game, is a beautiful and fun time loop puzzle adventure that is sure to entertain. The visuals are vibrant, the art style is reminiscent of games like Paper Mario, and the puzzles I came across in the demo were pretty fun to solve. There is a lot of backtracking involved, but the more things you figure out, the more efficient you're going to become at getting things done during the day. If this seems like a game you'd enjoy, make sure you don't forget about Calibra and the Souls of Limbo. Next up, in 9th place, we find Lost in Random, the Eternal Die. The kingdom of Random was thrown into chaos, and its queen Alexandra and her companion Fortune have found themselves dragged into the world of the Black Die, where madness reigns supreme. Their goal now is to defeat Mare the Knight, the physical representation of the Black Die contained within itself, to make it out and hopefully save their kingdom. And the only way to accomplish this feat is to play a roguelike, baby! Yeah! Woo! Fuck yeah, roguelike! Let's fucking go! Sorry, I got a little bit carried away there. Anyway, yes, Lost in Random is a roguelike with incredibly fun mechanics I haven't really seen anywhere else. To begin with, we've got our classic action hack and slash combat. You got a weapon to attack with, the game starts you off with a sword, but it looks like there are more weapons to unlock as you progress, as well as a dash to evade. It doesn't get simpler than this. You also get a skill at the start of each attempt, or randomly as you progress through the dungeon. You're only allowed to hold one skill at a time, so if you find a new skill while already holding on to one, you've got to figure out which one of the two you would like to keep. These skills vary significantly in strength and effect, but the thing that makes them really interesting and fun to use is their charge. Skills don't have a time-based cooldown, but an energy meter that can be filled by dealing damage to enemies. Some skills have a singular charge and require the full bar to be filled in order to use them. Others split the meter into multiple sections, letting you use them more frequently. As an extra bonus, every skill can be charged by holding down the button, and if released at the correct time, indicated by a yellow flash on your character, will turn into a stronger version of itself. The additional effect of this perfect cast is also always mentioned on the skill card whenever you pick it up. One of my favorite mechanics of this game is the dice throw. During combat, you can just throw your companion die wherever you are currently pointing. The damage dealt by your die depends on the number you roll. A 1 is a bit of extra chip damage, while a 6 can blast an enemy for a good chunk of their health. I really love this part of the game, and landing a 6 is super satisfying. You might also come across a way to buff your numbers using relics. Relics are awesome. Whenever you find a relic box, you get to choose 1 out of 3 relics. Each relic has a bonus effect like spawning energy cards when you roll a 3 or healing you by 3 points at the end of each encounter. These passives activate immediately after choosing a relic and placing it on your board. Every relic also has 1 or 2 assigned colors that represent one of your 5 stats. Red for weapon damage, yellow for skill damage, blue for dice damage, purple for conjurations, these are often tied to the relics themselves, and green for luck. If you can manage to match 3 relics of the same color in a row, you get a pretty solid boost to the related stat. I really love trying to manage your relic placements and trying to think ahead to get the most out of your board without having to destroy relics by placing a new one on top of an old one. This game is so much fun and I found myself lost in it for quite some time after playing the demo on stream. I booted it up a few more times afterwards because I just wanted to keep playing more of it. These mechanics just felt so fresh and enjoyable that I couldn't stop thinking about them, and I hope you will give them a shot in the future. If you're looking for a new roguelike, keep an eye on Lost in Random: The Eternal Die. Looking at our 8th place demo, we see Mars Vice. It's 2184 and Mars has been colonized in a rather unique way. Instead of just flying all the way there from Earth, people upload their minds into entirely new bodies created for them, based on selections from a whole catalog of options, possibly to be modified even further. The fun part of this is that everybody is now an anthropomorphic animal. Well, almost everybody. Here's the thing. Our main character is a lion named Dax. He's a civil investigator and he's just been assigned a new partner named Anaya, but he's late. So after exploring his very tasteful and only slightly messy apartment, we make our way to the port to pick up this new partner of ours. There's only one problem. We don't actually know what they look like. After a very nice conversation with a help desk worker who probably doesn't get paid enough for this shit, the only piece of information we learn about their new body is that it is not modified, which means the search could take hours. Oh, there's a human right there. We introduce ourselves to Anaya, take off together, and that's where the demo ends. It doesn't delve very deep into the meat and potatoes of the game, but it sets the mood and does a solid job at establishing this fun world we find ourselves in. Mars Vice is a narrative adventure game, mixing 3D environments with 2D character art, and it looks like there's even some 2D animated cutscenes. Exploring these environments is very fun, and there are a lot of small details all around. Some of them can be interacted with, and others are just there. Even though this demo was fairly short, I still really enjoyed my time with it, and it really made me look forward to experiencing the full game. Thinking about what kind of characters I might get to meet and how this story might develop is getting me very excited. If a queer biopunk detective story where you investigate the corruption running rampant in a futuristic city on Mars sounds like something you'd be interested in, then check out Mars Vice right now. Moving on to 7th place, Wednesdays. Haunted warning for Wednesdays, this game touches on some very serious topics regarding sex, in particular incest and sexual abuse of minors. If any of this might be triggering to you, feel free to check the description and skip ahead to 6th place, but if at all possible, I ask that you stick around. So yeah, Wednesdays is a visual novel exploring the past experiences of Timothy, who is a victim of abuse. The presentation of this is unique and genuinely so interesting. At the start of the game, Timothy, I'm just gonna start calling him Tim for short, boots up one of his childhood games, a theme park simulator called Orco Park. Orco Park acts as our hub. Here we select which scenes we want to experience next by picking out an attraction to build. Every attraction is different in that they are all connected to very specific scenes, some of which are very tame and just give general insight on Tim's life as a kid, while others will explore sexual experiences to varying degrees. You will always be able to check an attraction's warning label for general information about the scene, as well as detailed information that will fill you in on the more explicit details before you decide to jump in. Attractions also do have a cost before you can build them, but this is most likely just to add flavor, as I assume you will be able to play all available scenes as you progress through the game. It's mostly just there to give you a choice, as well as tease scenes you will be able to afford in the future. The scenes themselves play out in a very intriguing way, as every dialogue choice presented to you is never attributed to Tim. Every time you make a choice, you will choose the next sentence for Tim's scene partner. I think this is a really cool way to tell the story until you remember that in the grand scheme of the story, Tim is the victim. This thought frightens me a little bit, but I think that's the point. I think that's why the story is told like this. I only played through 2 scenes when I checked out the demo. One of them was completely tame, just Tim hanging out at his grandma's place as a kid and being bored, trying to figure out what to do. This gives us some insight on his family life, and it will probably serve as a way to set up other scenes in the future. The second one was more explicit and starts to delve into the problematic things that have happened in his past, as it's about a teenage Tim and his then girlfriend Letitia, who is roughly 5 or 6 years older cooler than him? Big yikes. Having a conversation after Tim's first time. No sex is ever explicitly shown, but it is very heavily implied that yes, this is indeed about Tim, an underage boy losing his virginity to a legal age woman. It's rough, it's awkward, it's weird, but to them, it's just a conversation. This is the game. This is what Wednesdays is. It wants to have difficult conversations, presenting them to us through a unique lens, and I'm all here for it. The art style looks kind of rough on purpose. Everything is drawn as a sketch. The lines aren't clean, but everything can be clearly identified. The colors are simple. Scenes only have two tones, one for the background and one for the characters in the scene. It's beautiful, at least I think so. I can imagine that making a game tackling serious topics like this can be extremely difficult and scary for the developers, and I applaud them for making that choice and sticking with it to the end. I think it's important to talk about these awful experiences more openly and acknowledge their existence, and I think games like this are a great medium to do so. It can be scary to engage with these topics, but I'm here to ask you to be brave and have this conversation in Wednesdays. Blasting into 6th place, we find Haste, Broken Worlds. Now, you might have heard of this game already. A good amount of time has passed since I played the demo, and since then it has fully released and kind of blown up. You might even be wondering how on earth it ended up in 6th place considering how good and popular it is, but in that case I want to remind you that this list was originally put together the day after I finished playing all of the 100 plus demos I downloaded, and placements were entirely based on how I felt about specifically the experience I had with the demos. And if you have never heard about Haste and have no idea what I'm talking about right now, fantastic! Let me introduce you to one of my favorite demos from this week. Do you like going fast? Do you like satisfying landings? Do you like hoverboards? If your answer to all of those questions was no, then feel free to move on, I guess. But if you answered yes to even one of those, then Haste might be for you. Haste is a high-speed action roguelike in which... Wait, a roguelike? Oh boy, we've got another roguelike, baby! Yeah! We've already done this bit, let's just move on. As the title of the game implies, the worlds are broken and you're gonna fix them by going fast. The hub world is fun to explore, but once you're done running around, you're gonna approach this thing called a shard and start your adventure. Here you'll go through several levels, running over hills, landing on slopes, jumping over gaps, and collecting these things called sparks. At the end of a level, you will be graded based on how quickly and cleanly you cleared the stage. The better the grade, the better your reward. And after that, you get to choose where to go next. Your options vary between regular stages, shops, enemies, challenges, and healing. You're not... If you run into an obstacle, you're gonna lose a bit of your health. Lose all of your health and you will lose a life and have to restart the stage. Lose all of your lives and you get kicked out of the shard, I assume? I'm unsure about that, I didn't die while playing the game, sorry. But if you're in trouble, just try to make it to a healing room to recover everything you're missing. Shops are pretty self-explanatory, you use your sparks to buy upgrades that will improve your run. Very simple. Enemy rooms will throw extra obstacles into your way, like these large spheres that will suck you in and deal a good chunk of damage to you if you get too close to them. And challenges will ask you to, for example, restore the world by running over every last spot that has lost its color to return that color to where it belongs. At the very end of a shard, you'll encounter a boss. Here your objective is to avoid the boss's attacks and crash into it a number of times to take it out. Do that and you've successfully completed the shard. This is where the demo ended, but it's clear the full game is gonna have a lot more to offer. The gameplay and controls are truly fantastic and the visuals are incredible as well. I've seen a lot of my friends put a good amount of time into this game, and I'm very much looking forward to doing so myself in the future. Go play Haste, Broken Worlds. Entering the upper half of our list, in 5th place, we have Solarpunk. I enjoy good open world survival crafter, and Solarpunk is probably the coziest one I've played. You start your game on a floating island, and the game immediately lets you know that your first goals are to collect the berry bush, chop a tree, and mine a stone with a pickaxe. If you just approach a tree, you will quickly realize that you can't just punch it. So you pull up your quick crafting menu and see that in order to craft a pickaxe and an axe, you're gonna need to find some sticks and stones. These are not gonna break your bones. They just kind of lie around the island, so as you explore it a bit, you gather the materials you need to craft your first tools. And with those tools, you can finally start chopping trees and mining rocks. Trees give you wood, which can be used to build a crafting table, and with the crafting table placed, you now have access to many more recipes. Another one of the early tools you can craft is a build hammer. This hammer allows you to bring up a menu to place structures like foundations, walls, walls, stairs, roofs, and lots more. As you continue to complete each step of the tutorial, you really start to learn more and more about the game. By the time you finish the tutorial, you've really gotten the hang of the gameplay loop, and it's just so nice. The thing about Solarpunk is that it really is so cozy. There are no monsters and no arbitrary deadlines given to you by the game. You're never under any pressure. Minor resources like sticks and stones also respawn over time. Trees can be replanted and plants give you seeds you can use for farming. The only real finite resource on an island seem to be the larger rocks you need to mine with a pickaxe, but there's a lot of them around, and this isn't the only island you can explore. At some point in the game, you'll be able to research the dock, which is a rather large structure that attaches to the edge of an island and will allow you to build an airship once you gather the required materials and find the airship components hidden on your island. Build your airship and you get access to a little manual that'll teach you all about how it works. It might look a little overwhelming at first, but it's honestly pretty intuitive once you get going. The airship controls feel great too because you steer it with the mouse. It kind of just makes sense. Using the airship, you can start flying to other islands as well as outposts. In the demo, there's a little outpost near your island that will provide you with a little starter pack for the next big step in this game. This is what Solarpunk is really about, automating your base using clean energy. I sadly didn't really get to play with this part of the game because just getting here already took me an hour, which is double my allotted time for demo. But just seeing this little node and knowing how many more cool things there are waiting for me in this game has me super excited for its release. I think a stress-free open world survival crafter like this is just wonderful. I had so much fun with this game that it was genuinely incredibly difficult to stop playing. The atmosphere is amazing, and just right out of the gate, everything felt very high quality. The full game is also going to have multiplayer, so you're even going to be able to work together with your friends to build the coziest Solarpunk base you can possibly imagine once the game has fully released. This is definitely a relaxing game worth checking out. Take a break with Solarpunk. On the opposite end of the spectrum, in 4th place, we have Radiolite. An investigation into a missing person's case goes wrong when mysterious supernatural radio signals start playing during the search. There have been an awful lot of people reportedly going missing in Ashwood Creek National Park, and tonight, after one of the rangers had seemingly disappeared, a local cop tries to investigate the scene. Joining us on this adventure is our good friend and the Chief of Police, Robert, except he's not with us, he just talks to us over walkie-talkie to keep us company and give us some extra information when needed. We also have a portable radio with us with which we can tune into the local park emergency station or whatever else we might be interested in listening to. We make our way into the park and reach the visitor center. It's empty, which isn't very strange considering it's the middle of the night, except it seems like somebody's been here recently. We report back to Robert, grab the map, and make our way towards the ranger cabin in hopes of finding the missing ranger. This is easier said than done due to several obstacles in our way. It doesn't seem too bad until we make it to a camping site that seems to have just been abandoned. A little further ahead, we find one trail closed off due to fallen debris and another one that's too overgrown to pass through, so it seems we're stuck for now. After investigating the campground some more, the boombox that has been left there suddenly changes its frequency, and once we match it on our pocket radio, we get a mysterious voice talking to us, and at the end of it all, the previously locked door to the nearby Forest Service shed slams itself open. All of this is starting to get really weird and creepy, but at least we now have access to an axe so we can make it through the overgrown trail and get back on track. The atmosphere of this game is seriously amazing. Especially once I made it to the ranger cabin, I really couldn't tell if I was safe to turn around at any point. I really love the walkie-talkie mechanic in this game, and the mystery is so intriguing. Looking at the map, I can tell that there's going to be a lot to do, and I'm not sure if I'm more excited or scared to go and explore it all. From what I've played so far, it feels a little bit like a more serious and scarier Firewatch, except I guess for the fact that this game is meant to be taking place within one singular night. I'm really looking forward to see what else this game is going to have to offer, as well as how this mystery resolves. If an atmospheric mystery walking simulator is something you'd enjoy, then I highly recommend keeping an eye on Radiolite. Before we look at the top 3 games on this list, I would like to take a few minutes to mention a handful of demos that didn't quite make the cut but were still very cool and I believe deserve some attention. This will be rapid fire, so pay attention and don't blink, otherwise you might miss it. Here we go. Your House is a narrative puzzle game that looks like the coolest possible take on a virtual choose your own adventure book. It all blends so perfectly into to each other that you can't figure out whether you're playing a book or reading a game. Tessera invites you to explore stunningly beautiful and creative worlds. Find a view you like, initiate a completely unique jigsaw puzzle, and use fun tools like a time scale to figure out where each piece belongs. Despelote is a beautiful slice-of-life story about the children of Ecuador in the early 2000s and their fixation on soccer. Get distracted in school, hang out with your friends, and kick a ball to truly experience childhood once more. The Knightling has come to help. Your mentor has gone missing, so now it's up to you, a young knight in training, to explore this vast open world with your trusted shield and help the people of this world to eventually uncover the whereabouts of the legendary knight Sir Lionstone. Idea Fix is a weird little game taking place entirely within a mysterious machine with various buttons, cranks, and levers. It's your job to figure out how each of them work and to further upgrade the machine to add even more of them. Wanderstop is a cozy narrative farming sim about a powerful sword fighter who has lost all her strength and needs to take a break, which she does by helping out this lovely tea shop where she might learn that strength isn't everything. Projected Dreams is a super relaxing puzzle game where you play with shadows using objects from your room to create shapes and relive past memories. It's truly a beautiful and creative story exploring the feeling of nostalgia. Void Sails is an RPG that has you captaining a flying ship to explore various locations and make decisions during events that resolve based on your already existing skills and your luck with spinning the wheel. Succeed and you might be able to improve your stats even more. Machina is a weird and cute little stop-motion game about a robot digging for treasure. Talk to your friends on the surface for missions as well as new tools and upgrades to improve your ability to excavate. Myrmidon is a co-op puzzle platformer about a puppet and its creator. Each side sees the world differently, so communication is key to successfully solving puzzles and finding secrets. I wish I could tell you more about these games, but this video is already getting pretty long, so please check them out later. I promise they are worth it. Links to each game are in the description, so please give them a click. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at third place, Open Fishing 2. A good fishing game can heal your soul, and boy is this one good. Open Fishing 2 has so much more to offer than it might look like on the surface. Of course, we got fishing. Get some bait from this outhouse that contains a little shop. There are a lot of different kinds of bait for the various types of fish that exist in this game, but to start off, you're just gonna get some bread since that one is free. To start fishing, you gotta make sure that you have selected bait of which you actually have some amount of, so make sure to check the top left corner of the screen. If you're ever unsure of how something works, there's a handy tutorial explaining everything in the bottom right corner, and even after completing it, you can always access it again. So, pick your bait and throw your line. Now, everybody knows that one key factor of fishing is patience, so you might want to get comfortable and relax. Oh, we got a bite! Once a fish bites, an indicator appears within the bar above your bobber. You want to keep the fish symbol in the green section by reeling and releasing whenever necessary. And that's how you catch a fish in Open Fishing 2. Now, you just gotta make sure you check your catch record and mark the bait you used to catch it. But this is far from everything. Of course, you can keep fishing and then sell your fish to the outhouse, which will allow you to actually buy bait that isn't bread, or you could explore the island a little bit. Walking around, you'll notice some bugs moving across the island here and there. And the fun thing about that is that if you open your book, you will notice a little tab in the bottom left corner reading bugs. When you click on that, it brings you to a section about bugs living on these islands, and whenever you think you found one, you can just hit the button that says found and a little check mark will appear. This is not tracked by the game, so you could technically just lie, but where's the fun in that? Every island also has a fish god. They are hard to miss since they are pretty large and float in the air. These gods will ask you for different variations of a specific fish species, and if you bring them enough, they will reward you with a better rod or even some more luck. Luck is a stat in this game. My avatar is kind of covering it up, but you can see the bar poking through a little bit in the bottom left corner of the screen. Your luck affects your fishing, and you can improve your luck by cooking a fish on a campfire and eating it. The cooking has its own little mini game that is all about cooking both sides evenly to get the best result. Just flip the fish a few times to make sure both sides end up in the green at around the same time, and you've cooked a tasty meal. If you ever get lost, just open your map. Just make sure you actually draw on it first. At this point, it should be fairly obvious that the game only does the bare minimum for you. It's largely entirely on you to stay organized or let your notes fall into chaos, and I honestly love that. Once you've caught enough fish and sold them all to afford your first boat, you are free to leave the starting island and explore more of the world. You'll be able to catch even more fish, meet even more gods, find even more bugs, and buy even better boats. I absolutely adore fishing games, and I'm a sucker for this kind of low poly, high pixelation art style. I find it incredibly endearing. So if a kind of weird fishing game with a high degree of player involvement for notes sounds like it would be the right game for you, definitely check out Open Fishing 2. Almost at the top, in second place, we find Another Round. In Another Round, you're in charge of your own bar, but the way you manage everything is going to be very different from what you're probably expecting, because this is actually a deck builder. To begin, you choose who you are. This choice will affect your deck in some way, and the biggest difference between characters is their regulars. Regulars are special cards that have a special effect. Jamie, for example, will duplicate the effect of another named card, and Archie will cause every other card near him to go wild. Now let's talk about what this means by going over how to actually play. At the start of a night, your bar is empty. You got 4 areas with 3 seats each. So let's open the bar and start filling these seats. Opening will draw 4 random cards that will be randomly assigned a seat, and once that is done, more customers will arrive and wait to be seated by you. This is how you draw cards to your hand, and these are the cards you can play on this turn. Apart from regulars, every card has a number and a suit. Regulars only have a suit, and each of the 4 sections corresponds to a suit as well. Matching a card's suit to a section will give it a boost, but each suit also has one section they really don't like. Try to avoid putting them there because it might have a negative impact on your score. Your goal now is to essentially create poker hands in each section. There's 4 major hands in total, and each of them will have a different effect on your deck. A 3 of a kind will fuse together into a wild card of that same value. A straight will let you add a new card that will follow the numerical sequence either ahead or afterwards. A flush will pick 2 of the play cards and add their values together. And a straight flush will invite a new regular to your deck. When the hands get resolved, the game also checks the vibe. To not lose your run, you need to hit a certain vibe quota visible in the top left indicated by Polaroid pictures. You gain +1 vibe for having at least 2 people in their preferred sections. This is the game. Fill your seats strategically and enhance your deck. It sounds so simple, but it's honestly such an addictive gameplay loop. But that's not even all. Every few nights you get to experience a minor event, and this is kind of my only problem with the game because these choices being presented to you feel very vague at times. It's not always immediately clear what these choices mean, and I would have really appreciated a more detailed explanation instead of getting a singular vague phrase plus a sometimes very interpretive picture. I think playing the game more will help you figure out what everything means eventually, but I just remember being a little confused looking at things. Apart from minor events, at the end of a week you get to experience a major event. For the demo, this was the end point. They did a cute little thing about wishlisting the game specifically for the demo here, and I thought that was a neat way to end it, and I am very curious to see what they will look like in the full game. Another round is absolute vibes. It's such a fun and addictive deck builder with a bit of a roguelike feel as well, and as a certified Balatro addict, I could immediately get into the idea of sorting the cards into poker hands. If you are looking for a new addiction, go try playing another round. And finally, at the very top of this list, in first place, Geno Kids. I was somewhat aware of Geno Kids before I had found the demo in the Next Fest catalog, but I hadn't paid much attention to it, so I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to see what it's really about. And holy shit guys, this game fucks. Geno Kids is about a 4-person band whose concert gets interrupted by an alien invasion. The demo starts us a little bit into the story and only gives us access to 2 of the 4 characters, Red and Blue. I don't know if those are their actual names, but those are their colors and the tutorial refers to them as such. We have to make our way through a demolished amusement park as well as some kind of industrial torture chamber. On our way, we come across some of those aliens, so of course we gotta kick their asses because for some reason these musicians also have superhuman combat prowess. Anyway, we've got some basic 3D hack and slash gameplay with a jump, block, dodge, and attack, as well as the ability to freely switch characters and use specials. During combat, we build flow in this blue bar below our health, and using those sections you can hit the enemies with stronger attacks by opening the flow menu, which is covered up by my avatar in the bottom left corner, I'm so sorry about this, and using the corresponding face button for our desired attack. Those attacks differ in strength, use, and cost, so build your flow gauge and unleash devastatingly cool combos upon your enemies. As you are fighting, you'll also be building Hype, the red bar above your health, and once it is filled, you can activate Hyper Mode, boosting your damage and regenerating health while fighting. It also looks pretty cool. And lastly, during combat, you can also see the health bar of your currently focused enemy in the top left, as well as a style meter in the top right. The best way to build up the style meter is by switching it up with ground combos, air combos, specials, and character switches while also not getting hit. Finish a combat section and you will receive points based on your grade, and after beating a level, you will also get another grade based on the total points you gained. Outside of combat, the game is a bit of a 3D platformer. A mid-air dodge will get you a bit more distance for your jump, and if you see this hexagonal mark, it means you can use your chase ability to perch on beams or run on walls. This ability can also be used to close the gap between you and your enemies in combat. This game is so cool and satisfying. I just love the style and vibes of it. The characters are very fun and I'm a big fan of their designs, and I can't wait to meet the other 2 members of the band. The combat and out of combat movement feels so goddamn good. Chaining different attacks into combos and working character switches into them is so fun, and executing a sick chain feels incredibly satisfying. At the end of the demo, there is a boss fight, and I'm not gonna lie, it did give me a little bit of trouble, but I still managed to beat it and make it through the whole level without any deaths. This game is seriously amazing. There was also one small section where they let me jump into a bumper car and ride it around during a combat encounter, and I was just crashing into the enemies over and over again until they died. It was hysterical, and I even got an S grade for it. Truly peak gaming if you ask me. If you're looking for a cool new hack and slash with super fluid combat, character, and great style, then I highly recommend you keep an eye on GenoKids. Like, seriously, this game impressed me a lot. And that's it. These were my top 10 games from February 2025's Next Fest, including some honorable mentions. Thank you guys so much for watching. I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos because Next Fest is one of my favorite things to participate in, and I love doing it the way I do it, so I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe even found a game or two you didn't know of before but are looking forward to trying out now. I will keep trying my best to make the Next Fest streams and subsequent top 10 video happen to the best of my ability for as long as nothing gets in the way of it. Links to all the games as well as my socials and content channels are available in the description, so don't forget to check there. And with that being said, I guess thanks again for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!